Yes! First swing debut. And we're going to the finals for the first time. Debut.
What up guys, it's your boy Cielshock from CT Mini 4wd Racing Squad, and I'm a teacher here in Noobworx. And before I start my video, I would love to announce you guys that me and Minimod Garage have a sticker collab. It's already released. It's going to be available on his website. It's going to be on the link at the description below. And also you can DM him directly to Instagram and Facebook. And also you can DM myself through Instagram and Facebook. And I have all my link at the description below. And also if you're interested with his other versions of his Minimod Garage sticker decals, it will be at website as well. Alright, enough with the blah blah. Let's get in the video. Today's video is Super FM BMAX build Ashley. We are going to have an overview and detailed look on this build part by part, and what's the purpose, why this build is built like this, what's the purpose of every part, and what track situation this is suitable. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's get into it. As I've said, this is actually my Super FM BMAX build, and since this is a BMAX build, if you have any question about BMAX, they have their own website, BMAX GP, for the rules for the actual BMAX category. But this video is about this breakdown, so let's get into it. This is actually, as I've said, first part that we're going to discuss is the Crimson Glory body shell. This is the Crimson Glory body shell. This is item number 18032. This is a kit. Unfortunately, you have to get it as a kit. Again, this is Crimson Glory body shell, item number 18032. The reason why I picked this body shell is, one, because this is one of the few body shells that will actually fit on a Super FM chassis. I don't want to settle on a Strata Vector because I can only do so much. So I picked the Crimson Glory. And also, I will only have to do small modifications to fit on the chassis, like clearing up underneath, like, you know, doing some modification minimal on the chassis, because BMAX rules you can only modify as much. But if you are wondering why it's not color red, because the original Crimson Glory is red, I painted it gunmetal, It is TS38. That's the gunmetal color, and then the gloss aluminum, so I can do some sparkling things over there. It's already damaged and like through the battle scars of when you're racing, but you can see there's like small sparkles over there. That's the gloss aluminum TS17, and that's also aluminum right there. This is not silver, this is gloss aluminum. Again, that's gunmetal TS38, and that's gloss aluminum TS17 for the body shell. Alright, moving forward. Next part would be the carbon reinforced Super FM chassis set. Again, this is the carbon reinforced Super FM chassis set. Item number 95239. Again, it's item number 95239. The reason why I picked carbon FM, I will actually totally discuss it with you guys, because I normally use it for 3-lane tracks, and in 3-lane tracks it's kind of like some technical, so I kind of want to have that nosedive by default chassis just to begin with. And also I use carbon reinforced FM. I didn't use a regular FM chassis because I want that durability, since it's gonna be BMAX, so it's gonna be a lot of power. I need that power because we are using dash motors. If you are new to BMAX, you can use up to dash motors like Power Dash, Hyper Dash, or Sprint Dash. So you need that durability from an FM chassis, because FM chassis is not durable to begin with if it's not carbon. Some people call it CFM, but it's just a shortcut for carbon FM, Super FM chassis. So that's the reason why I use it. And also for the brake clearance at the bottom, I want it to be high, so it will be more adjustable on track situations, but we'll get into that later. But for now, that is carbon reinforced Super FM chassis set. That is carbon, item number 95239. All right, moving on. So let's go to the wheels now. I have this medium carbon fin type wheel set. In Tamiya packaging, it says it's small, but I don't know, they've been slacking lately, because this is not really small. If you actually compare it to the small diameter, this is not small. This is a medium diameter. If I keep saying this on my videos, because I don't know what Tamiya did, because Tamiya keep putting medium diameter on that wheels, because this is what a small diameter is. As you can see, a small diameter is really small compared to a medium diameter. It's probably just another lost translation from Japanese. No offense from Japanese people, but maybe they're trying to say that this is a small diameter circumference total, but this is a 26 millimeter total with the low profile tires. So anyway, not a lot about an issue about that, but this is a medium diameter low profile fin type wheel set. Item number 15534. Again, that's item number 15534. Why did I use that? Because I want it to be medium, not small. So I need that little bit of top speed because I'm using it to long tracks. Again, in the US, and let me remind you guys, we are racing 5-lane tracks. It could be technical, it could be wood track, or it could be a speed technical track layout. So I need to be on that medium, in between wheels. So I don't want to put large diameter because I might course out in the jumps, but I don't want to use small diameter because I don't want to lose top speed in there, since I'm using Power Dash, but we are gonna get there later. For now, this is the medium carbon fin type. I use carbon because it's the most durable wheels that you can use out there. It's might quite a little bit on the heavy side because it's carbon, but it's very durable, so it can tolerate as much as power coming from the Power Dash. Again, that's the medium carbon fin type wheels, item number 15534. All right, moving on to the tires. These are the super hard medium diameter tires, 15542. I didn't use low friction, right? Because mind you, if you buy this fin type wheels, it will come up with a low friction. I don't want to use low friction because I'm mostly using this to plastic tracks. I may probably use it to wood track, but mostly plastic tracks. And if I use low friction super hard tires, it will be so slippery, and I'm basically compensating. My track is dirty, I'm sacrificing my torque. Again, I'm sacrificing my torque if I'm using a low friction tire. That's why I have them all total, 4 of them. I'm using a super hard medium diameter low profile tires. So that's the reason why I'm using it. And also, super hard tires are less to bounce compared to hard tires. It's lesser rebound compared to the hard tires. So that's item number 15542. This is from a carbon Y-spoke set. Again, that is from a Y-spoke carbon set. People might be asking me, sir, why did you put that item number? It comes up with a Y-spoke. It doesn't come with a fin type. Because the fin type medium tires comes with a low friction, and you can't, because Tamiya is so smart of selling their stuff, they don't sell it with a super hard tire. So you have to buy 2 sets of wheels. So this is the fin type, and then you have to get the super hard on a Y-spoke carbon set. It's item number 15542. And if you have an available kit that you happen to have a super hard tires, obviously you can get it from there. But that's the reason why I'm using a super hard tires, for more grip, less bounce, and medium diameter for a little bit more top speed compared to small diameter. All right, next part. Going there inside is a AO620. Again, that's item number 49300. Item number 49300, AO620s. That's the bearings that I've been using since day one, and they're working for me. Some people say you can use high grade bearings, but this is what I have, and this is what works for me. So again, that's AO620. Nothing crazy, nothing special. All right, inside there, in between the AO620 and the fin type wheels, I always put a bearing roller spacer, AO1018. Again, that's AO1018 bearing roller spacers, item number 94768. Again, that's item number 94768, AO1018 bearing roller spacers. The reason why I use that, so I can have a little bit more space away from the body. And then also, it's not directly rubbing to the bearing, so it's actually smoothly running from the bearing and the shafts. So that's the reason why I did that. All right, moving forward now, we are going to talk about the bumper. All right. Before I continue with the bumper, I want to say shout out to Kevin Del Rosario. He's my Noobworx teammate. Shout out Team Cebu. He's the one who helped me out with this build. I basically put all together the knowledge that I have, and then Kevin helped me out through this build. Actually, 80% or 90% of this build, this is all Kevin. I only did some adjustment through the brakes and some gearing adjustments, but this is all Kevin Del Rosario. I want to say shout out to him. Obviously, the studying of the chassis and test running on my racetrack, it was done for me, and that's all the work that I've did. So without him, I'm not going to be able to have this build on me. I mean, there's a lot of teammates that actually helped me out to learn FM chassis, like Raf Velasco, shout out. Actually, the Pit Stop USA Douglas made some input too. But it's all Kevin Del Rosario who actually gave me a better understanding how FM works. But thank you for all the help and the teammates and the people that actually give their input for me to have this build, Ashley. Alright, so moving forward, the bumper. We're talking about the FRP mount plate set, item number 15150. Again, FRP mount plate set 15150. You need 4 of them. I think on the pack there's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see, I double stack over here. Let's begin with the brake. So I use that as my front brake mount because it's actually protruding over there. There's a reason why it's protruding over there. So I wanted to hit first. Hit early than to hit delay. So that's the purpose why I use a mount plate over there up front. Not a lot of people can explain this, but this is my way of studying Mini 4-wheel drive. I study it, so if it's protruding right here, it brakes early when compared to a popsicle, or if it's inverted, it will brake late. So I want it to brake early. Depends how aggressive my motor is. That is my first mount plate right there as my brake up front. All right, moving forward to the bumper, it is a double stack FRP mount plate. It is double stack because I want it to be durable. That is one. That's why it's more durable. And also, it is mounted backwards like this. The reason why it's mounted backwards like this is the mount plate can actually rest when you actually put the lock nuts over there and screwed it over there. It actually rests and it doesn't have a negative angle, because if you actually have a negative angle, the build might actually course out. But You guys are also might be wondering why is it black like that, because one, I want a color match, and also I put like a pencil pen on it. So if you are using FRP, the fiber will actually absorb whatever you put in there. You can, some people put glue in there, or some people, like, it depends like how your racing center allows you, but I just use pencil pen and makes it sturdier because there is no carbon option. But because we're using a mount plate that is double stacked to be sturdy and for durability. All right, and then at the rear part, obviously we're gonna get there later, but it's for the rear bumper over there. Let's focus at the front first. Again, that's the FRP mount plate set 15150. Again, that's the reason why we use that, for durability, and also we want a narrow setup. We want it to be narrow, and some people call it inner. So because I've said that, it's time to mention my next part. It's double aluminum rollers, 1312 millimeters. Double aluminum rollers, 1312 millimeters, silver. Item number 15398. Again, it's item number 15398. It's a double aluminum rollers. You guys might be wondering why I use double aluminum rollers. Because I want it to be inner. This is what people are calling inner or narrow setup up front. Because if you're narrow, your car is actually pushing to the wall instead of the build is pushing it out. So if your build is getting pushed in the wall, that means your car is hugging the track. If I can give you a better understanding, you guys give me a second. I'm going to show you how it works. So this is the track wall. And if your build is in the inner or narrow side, the car is getting pushed through the wall because the rear is wider. And if the front is narrower, you will get pushed on the track wall, and then you will get more bite and more stability. But there's a con on that. I just want to make sure you guys have a better understanding where you're doing a narrow build. A narrow build is you're sacrificing your cornering speed. It does hugs the track, but you're sacrificing your cornering speed. But also, if you have a powerful motor like mine, so that makes sense now, you're basically trying to overcome that cornering speed by having a powerful motor. All right, so again, that's item number 15398. That's a double aluminum rollers, 1312 silver. Nothing crazy. Why is it silver? Because my build is black and silver. And also, you know, I love color match. Plus, silver is the most available part in the market right now. All the parts are going crazy high. All right, next part. Aluminum spacer set silver. That would be the spacer up there. It's item number 1543473. Again, that's item number 15473 for aluminum spacer set 15473. It includes 12 millimeter, 6.7, 6, 3, and 1.5 millimeter spacers that we're going to use over here and here. So right here, we're using the 3 millimeter. We are using a 3 millimeter and a nut over there above it. Not a lot of people will explain this to you, but I'm doing this video hard for you guys to have a better understanding. It was risen up again for stability purposes, because FM chassis have a lack of stability to begin with, the chassis alone. So now you are compensating that weakness of the FM chassis to be stable. So if you put the roller higher, it makes the car more stable. 13 and 12 also have lesser grip, so it actually smoother and faster compared to the others. But again, it's a narrow build, so it hugs the track. It's 13-12 because when it tilts, it actually acts as stabilizer, but you're still rolling. And if your car actually tilts like crazy, you will have your stabilizer over there. That's the reason why there is a 3 millimeter spacer there to rise up your double aluminum rollers. And also in track situations, you can actually flip this on the other side, so it would be higher. So the 13 millimeter is actually the one gripping on the track wall. So again, that's on a different track situation. All right, so since we got on that stabilizer side, it's time for the high mount tube stabilizer set black, item number 15528. Again, that's high mount tube stabilizer set 15528 black. Why is it black? For color matching, nothing crazy. Why do I have that stabilizer? Obviously for stabilizing purposes. So if your car tilts on the cornering or it's too fast on the track situation, 13mm gripping, 12mm will grip on the wall, and if it's too fast, the stabilizer will hit and acts like a brake or a stabilizer, as I said, from the freaking root word stabilize. It's stabilizing the car. Nothing crazy. Item number 15528, high mount tube stabilizer, black. All right, moving on to the side. We'll get into the dampers later, but we'll go to the side now. It's the side mass damper set for AR chassis. It is item number 15459. You will have to use this. All right, you guys might be looking at me weird. Why is it mounted like that? I will explain that later. But this is the side mass damper set for AR chassis 15459. You can use the dampers over here at the front, but you're using this side damper set FRPs right here. You can also get it from a mass damper set AR silver, item number 95288. Again, that's a 95288. That's the silver alternative if ever you want to color match like this build. But let's get into this. This is the side mass damper set, right, AR. As you can see, this is built for AR chassis, but we mounted on a Super FM chassis. You guys might be looking at me weird, as I mentioned earlier. Why is it on top like this? This is actually one of the secrets that I'm going to reveal, because some people might looking at me weird and they're ignoring it. This is one of the factors why my build is stable in the track and it's not bouncing as much if you look at my videos. I already teach this to some of my teammates. A lot of them is believer, some of them doesn't believe it, but it's your discretion. But for me, this is what really works. Shout out again, Kevin. If it wasn't for you, I would not notice it. He might not know why the car is so stable, but because of my precision practice and studying this track, the track layout and the build, I figured out one of the biggest game changer factor for the FM. This is the AR chassis set. As I've said, it's on top because it vibrates more when it's on top. Some people say that you can go as low as possible if you want. That's my theory back in the day. But now that I'm using FM, every chassis and every build is different. There is no default build. But this one for FM, this is what works for me, because this is actually sturdy enough to vibrate. It vibrates more and it absorbs more shock when you're landing. So that's the reason why it's on top. It's not on the traditional way that it's underneath, because when it's underneath, it doesn't vibrate as much compared to when it's on top, as you can see. And don't be scared, this will not snap even though it's heavy. So that's one of the biggest game changer and the factor why this FM chassis is so stable and most likely lesser to bounce compared to other builds and other FM builds. I'm saying specifically other FM builds because I've seen a lot of people putting it under and then looking at me weird. Why are you putting it there? It's ugly. Well, I rather have performance compared to just looking good. It's better to just be more, the car will perform more compared to be just looking good inside the track. Because besides, we're racing, we're trying to win, right? So that's the mass damper set AR. It's inverted like that. One more tip, if you are trying to screw it like this, you have to be very, very careful in screwing it. There's a certain way of screwing it so you won't mess up the wings. Some people glue it. I don't, because you have to do it. You have to screw it like you're screwing a car. Like it takes turns and it's basically like screwing it almost at the same time. All right. So that's the secret about it. All right. It's no secret no more. So we're moving at the back. It's carbon reinforced rear double roller stay. So this is this magical thing right here. This is the carbon rear double roller stay. 3-point attachment. Item number 15412. Again, it's item number 15412. That's a carbon reinforced rear double roller stay 3-point attachment. Why we're using that? Because FM chassis doesn't have those 3 mounting points. You only have 1 mounting point. And this is carbon. We're not using white or red. Carbon, because this is very durable and actually hard enough to absorb all the impact from the build, from the track situations that we're gonna race with. So again, that's the item reinforced rear double roller stay, item number 15412. So because we have that, that's where we're gonna mount our FRP, the FRP mount plate that we have right here. So that's part of the FRP mount plate set, the 15150 that we used earlier up front. So that's what we're gonna use here at the rear. We're only using one because you are basically just dragging the rear. People have a misconception of the rear. You guys, so if you guys notice in the open classes, we have anchor system. This is the anchor system doesn't tilt or it doesn't go anywhere because it's moving. It's basically the same here. Like a little move here and there will not cause a lot of like difference when you're racing. So one FRP is enough for me. Some people double it up. I don't blame you because sometimes it snaps, but for me it's durable enough. That's why I only have one. So next part, moving on, we have the FRP rear brake set, item number 15518. Again, that's item number 15518, FRP rear brake set. This is the brake set that we're using nowadays. This has been out for like 6 years now, I think. 6 years or 5 years. I keep saying that since this came out, this is a game changer because you can actually use more brakes, and the brake height is actually by default already, so you just adjust it by tape. So I use FRP to match out everything. If I use carbon, it will not make sense because it's just gonna make the build ugly because I've been using FRP. But you can also use carbon if you want. This is FRP rear brake set, item number 15518. All right, moving forward, since we have that, we have the FRP plate for Super X chassis, which is our underguard right here. FRP plate for Super X chassis 15242. Again, that's item number 15242, FRP plate for Super X chassis. So that acts like your underguard, so you don't get caught on the track layout if your car actually jumps like this and get caught on the track wall. That's your underguard. And also on some track situation, you can use this as a brake. FRP plate set for Super X chassis 15242. All right, next part, we're going to the rollers. The rollers are high grade 19 aluminum ball race rollers, ringless, 15464. Again, that's item number 15464. High grade 19 aluminum ball race rollers. Why did I use those rollers? Because the car would be fast enough. It will be way too much if I use plastic rings. So ringless, just to have grip and control while you're dragging at the rear. 19 millimeters for faster cornering, obviously, you know that. And for bigger contact surface, 19 millimeters, that's what I use. I mount it tall for stability. Again, this whole build is studied for precision racing. It is high because it is made for stability. We're all compensating that FM chassis stability weakness. Again, it's high grade 19 millimeter aluminum ball race rollers, ringless, 15464. Silver. I'm getting silver because silver is cheaper. Hope you get that. Silver is cheaper. Everything is expensive nowadays. But yeah, that's the item number 15464. We also have those aluminum spacer that we mentioned earlier. The aluminum spacer set 15473. That's all of the aluminum spacers that we use in the rear. Why we use aluminum and we didn't use plastic? Yes, you guessed it right. It's for durability because aluminum is more durable compared to the plastic, so the screws won't bend. That's why I can get away with one FRP plate at the rear. For durability, aluminum spacer set. And we're racing BMAX, so it's going to be a powerful motor, so aluminum is more durable. It's kind of be on the heavy side because this is a heavy setup, but that's fine. Alright, next part. Mass damper set for AR chassis. Here we go. The mass damper set 95288. That's the front. We took this dampers up front to balance the pitch. We are on the heavy side, as I've said. This is a heavy damper setup build. That's why we use that. I pick silver because I want a color match. Nothing crazy. Yeah, me here talking about like how to be cheap and save money, but still I want to match it. Actually, the silver is more expensive than the regular gold, but fuck it. Mass damper set AR 95288. That's the one up front. All right, moving on. Mass damper heavy black at the side. So now I don't have a silver, I found a black. Heavy black 94844. Item number 94844. Mass damper heavy black. Why it's heavy? Because the build is heavy to begin with. And I want the car to be heavy because I have a very powerful motor that I use. So it's not because it's heavy, it will not bounce. The heavier the car, it's more downforce. Downforce, the build is sticking on the ground. So that downforce give you more traction on the track and makes it more grippy on the track. So you actually have that acceleration and torque. Remember this, guys. Not all heavy setup is not for the car not to bounce. It's for the downforce purposes. That's why I have a video about this car that says downforce. The title on it, I mentioned downforce. But yes, that's mass damper heavy black 94844. It's for the pitch. So I'm putting heavy dampers and it's protruding over here. That's why it's inverted. Now it makes sense why it's inverted. So it's closer to the wheel up front. So the pitch is actually longer. Okay, it's nose diving, and also the pitch is actually going to be longer because when these dampers go up, it will pitch you higher because it's heavy. There you go. Heavy dampers will pitch you higher. It also depends how high your screws are. All right, next part would be the mass damper set black at the rear right here. So you can get the mass damper set black. Some people call it the burger dampers. But this is the mass damper set black 95236. Again, that's item number 95236, and that's what I use at the rear. So as you can see, this is well balanced. I balance out the weights on this build. So the motor is already up front. This is my lattice weight right here. So that will actually control the pitch, and this is my heaviest weights, so it can actually pitch longer, and this is the weights that balance it out. That is the mass damper set black 95236. I'm not saying there's a default damper settings, okay? Just a reminder, guys, you can have your own damper weight settings. It depends how your racing style is. This is the one that works for me because I chose to have a heavier setup, so I have that downforce. You can play, mix, or match every damper weight settings you have. So I don't want anybody blaming me that Shell says it gotta be heavy, Cielshock says it's gonna be like this. There is no default. It really depends on your setup. So choose your weapon, how you race your cars. Okay? Next part would be the 2mm lock nuts. Item number 94690. 2mm steel lock nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I use to secure my dampers. I use those because I don't have any like colorful ball caps. So I use this, so it's more secure, and some people say it's better looking. I mean, I'm not into like better looking style all of the time, but you know, if you have a chance to make it better looking, I like it good looking because it match like that, and actually it doesn't defeat its purpose. It's a lock nut, so it actually locked and put all those weight secure in place. All right, again, that's item number 94690, lock nuts. All right, so let's go inside. Kind of don't want to dissect this one. All right, so now that we opened the internal, moving forward, 2.0mm hollow propeller shaft, item number 15206. Again, that's item number 15206. 20mm hollow propeller shaft for FM and Type 5 chassis. Let me remind you guys that this propeller shaft is only for Super FM and Type 5 chassis. I use hollow propeller shaft because there's less drag in the transmission. Life is just better that way, and life is smoother that way. Let's just put it like that. It's like a happy wife, happy life kind of thing. If you're using a hollow propeller shaft, there's less lesser to drag when your transmission. Because I've said on my older videos, you will hear this like a broken record. A loose transmission is a slow transmission. Remember that. Some people like put this on a paper and write it down. A loose transmission is a slow transmission. So you have that hollow propeller shaft 20mm 15206 for FM chassis, for smoother transmission, and also for lighter propeller shaft, because a lighter propeller shaft will have you more power from the motor going to the propellers to your gears. Next part is a super speed gear set, item number 15432. Again, item number 15432, super speed gear set. All right, you have that super speed gear set right there. And I don't have an AO620 actually. I should have put an AO620 over there. I run out of it, but that's the super speed gear set. You guys might be wondering, why did I use super speed gear set? Because a typical BMAX racer will use a 4-1 or 4-2-1 gear ratio, because I'm racing on a 5-lane track, and a 5-lane track is always huge. So I need that top speed. Instead of having a 4-1 gear ratio, I will have 3-5-1 gear ratio. So 3-5-1 will give me that optimal top speed coming from my build for a 5-lane racing style. All right, so again, that's super speed gear set 15432. All right, moving forward, you guys might be wondering, what is this cover right here? This is a lightweight special gear cover from an FM chassis or a TZ. It's a 15187, item number 15187, lightweight special gear ratio. I basically just took that cover because if you actually use a regular FM chassis, you will be needing that cover so the 351 gear ratio will fit. Remember that. But because this is a carbon FM chassis, or some people call it CFM, you don't actually need this. I just put this because it just happened that I have it on hand and it looks good. It's just basically telling my opponents that, hey, I have a super speed gear set over there, in case you're wondering. Basically, that's just like add a little bit of, you know, a little bit of HP. When you say HP when it comes to putting stickers, that's what I put to add more HP. So that's only for cosmetics. Kidding aside, lightweight special gear ratio, FM cover 15187, comes out with a TZ too. All right, next part that just fell earlier. This is the aluminum motor support, item number 15149. Again, that's item number 15149, aluminum motor support. Why do I use an aluminum support? This is a very old part. It's actually released back in 93, I think. If I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong. There's gonna be somebody there that will comment, hey Shell, this is not from 93. So whatever year it is, you can put this in a comment, but this is an old part, aluminum motor support. Why am I using an aluminum support? So if you're racing BMAX, especially me, if you're racing on the 5-lane, it absorbs a little bit more heat. So it actually acts like a heat sink. So it actually tends to make the motor cooler. And also it pushes the motor more. So it's like a support. It pushes the motor inside closer to the batteries. So it's more sturdy and more secure over there. So that's why it's a motor support. So again, that's item number 15149. All right. This is one of the few situations that you will see me using this motor. This is a power dash motor. Power dash. I know it's weird, right? All my life I've been using hyper dash, but now I'm using power dash. This is a power dash motor 15317. Again, that's item number 15317, power dash motor. Why am I using power dash? 1, because we're racing BMAX. 2, because we need that torque. I want this car to be torquey. Why? Because this is heavy as fuck. As you can see, this is one of the heaviest setup that I have. This is built as a tank. This is like a tank on the racetrack. So since this is very heavy, I need power. I need torque. That's why we're using power dash motor. Get it? Power dash? Yes, power dash motor. Again, item number 15317 for that optimal torque power. Next would be the carbon reinforced pinion gear. Obviously, if you have all that power, you'll be needing a reinforced pinion gear because you don't want your pinion gear to break. So since it's carbon, it's item number 15453. Again, it's item number 15453. It's carbon reinforced pinion gear because we have a power dash and we need a reinforced pinion gear because we don't want our pinion gears to break. Understand? Get it? Get it. So that's why we use carbon pinion gear, because we have power dash. Next part, stainless countersunk steel crew set. Obviously, we're not gonna tell you to use a regular screws because it's gonna damage the track. It's item number 15510. Again, it's item number 1550. This is a stainless steel countersunk screw set. It's countersunk, so it actually doesn't drag or doesn't ruin the track, and so it doesn't actually mess up on your brake settings. So be mindful, please. As much as possible, use countersunk screws. I know it's expensive, but let's support our local tracks so the tracks won't be damaged. 15510. And also in some racing centers, they actually disqualify people that are actually scraping the track. So be my guest, All right, next part. I don't usually declare this, but I will declare it anyway. This is brake sponge set white. Item number 15492. Item number 15492. This is a brake sponge set white. All right, you can use any brake settings you want on track situations, but this is what works for me. This is what I use on my racing style. This is what I use on the track layout that I'm racing with. I use white because I have a very powerful motor, which is power dash, high RPM, high torque build. So I need a lot of brakes so I can control my car on technical track layouts. I'm using white so I have more grip, but again, you can use whatever brake you want, but in case you are wondering, I'm using a brake sponge set white 15492. And I angle it. I use a tool that angle this so I can actually adjust it on track situations. As you can see, I'm not hiding any secrets. That's how I build this car. And that's all for you folks. That sounds like Bugs Bunny, right? Like, that's all, folks. But yeah, this is actually my Super FM BMAX build. As you can see, I cannot spoon feed or give you a better detail breakdown than that. So, quick preview. Crimson Glory body shell, FM chassis, that's the only one I got. CFM for durability, front motor chassis for that nosedive pitch. Carbon wheels for durability, low profile tire mediums for top speed. Not too fast, but on the average point of view. FRP mount plates, inverted, narrow setup for stability. Longer screws, 19mm, cornering speed and stability. Heavy setup for downforce, more grip, more traction on the track. And that's my Super FM BMAX Ashley build. If you have questions, hit me in the comments. Hit me on Facebook or Instagram. But hopefully you don't have any questions anymore. That's the most spoon feed I can get. The long wait is over after 1 year of racing BMAX. Three times that I won first place, 2 times second place, and I think 1 third place. I don't even remember. I've been racing crazy for BMAX. But that's what all I get. This is Ashley. It's pretty beat up. This is Cielshock from CTUSA Mini 4wd Drive Racing Squad, and I'm a teacher here in Noobworx. We learn from you, learn from us. Always race humble. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Peace!